All right, so before we start, I will briefly explain what these cables is and what is used for. Okay, so this is an Ethernet cable. As we all know, it is used to connect devices on a local network. Okay, so you can use it to connect your router to your PC to your switch to your router, and so on. Okay, so it is an Ethernet cable that we use to connect devices on a local network, right? So it's called a twisted pair, right? So the reason it's called a twisted pair is because all the whole cables are twisted, and they are two, right? They are in pairs. So this is a pair, this is a pair, this is another pair, and this is another pair with different colors. So they are called twisted pair cable. Now this twisted pair cable is divided into two. We have the UTP and we have the STP. Okay, so the UTP is the unshielded twisted pair, and the STP is the shielded twisted pair. So this is the difference. So this is an example of a UTP Ethernet cable, right? Now it is unshielded because there is no, apart from this outer layer, there's no any other layer that covers the cable. Okay, so you just had this, only this outer layer. As you can see, this is the only part that shield the cable, right? Then for the STP, this is how an STP Ethernet cable look like. So apart from this outer layer, it also have this foil that also shield the cable. Okay, so this outer layer provide another layer of protection to the cable. So where you can pass this cable, you might not be able to pass the UTP. So for example, if you are working in an environment where you need to pass this cable through an electrical pipe, okay, this will not have a problem because this will shield your cable from any electromagnetic wave that is coming out from the electrical cable, but this will not be able to handle that EMF, right? So that's the difference. And this also I use most times for outdoors. Okay, so if you want to run an outdoor cabling, okay, you want to cable outdoor, you go for STP. If you want to run indoors, you go for UTP. That does not mean that you cannot use this for indoors, but it's quite expensive. Okay, so this has a layer of protection that can protect your cable from sun, heat, and other kind of attack, right? So working with this, before we crimp this cable, I'm going to introduce the tools we need. So this is a crimping tool, right? This is what we use to crimp the cable. Okay, so you can use it to crimp an Ethernet cable. You can also use it to crimp for telephone lines. Okay, so it is a crimping tool. What is other tools that come with it? This a cable stripper. Okay, so you actually use this to strip out a cable. Okay, so once you put it, you roll it this way, so it's going to create like a mark on the cable, okay, around the cable. So once you create this mark, you can easily pull it out. Okay, so but while doing it, you need to be careful so that you won't injure the cable. So once you do that, you can easily just pull the cable out this way. Okay, then we have our terminators, right? So this is an RJ45 terminators. This is what we'll be using to terminate each cable at each ends. Okay, then finally we have our cable tester. So if you are a newbie, if you are just starting your journey in networking, you need cable tester, so that whenever you crimp a cable, you should be able to test your lines. Okay, so the cable has 8 wires: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So once you finish and you plug in one end to this part and the other end to this part, this should be able to read from 1 to 8. If any line jump, that means your cable is not well crimped, so you need to recrimp it again. So here we read from 1 to 8, here also we read from 1 to 8. So there are two ways you can actually configure this Ethernet cable, right? So we have the type A and the type B. Okay, so either of them will work fine for you. So the difference is by their color code arrangement, right? So if you watch closely, you see that each of these cables has different color codes. Okay, so starting from this, we have this is brown. I'm going to call it solid brown. Okay, then this is white and brown. Okay, so let's say white and brown, solid brown. Okay, if you come here, if you separate this, you have solid green, white and green. Okay, here we have solid blue, white and blue. Here we have solid orange, white and orange. Okay, so the mode at which you configure these color codes will determine which type you are actually working with. Okay, so before I fully start, let me cut off. Okay, let's even cut off this and start from beginning. So I'll remove this. So I'm going to be telling you the color code of type A. So we'll start with type A, then we'll go to type B. So I'll be telling you the color code of type A. So type A color code is white, green, green. So before then, let me strip out this. So like I said, this is your cable stripper. So insert it this way. Don't overstress it so that you will not bite the cable inside. So once you do that, you see it will create a mark, right? You can just easily pull it out. So separate the cables this way, then cut off this rubber, cut off this rubber, if possible with this. So use your crimper, right? So we're cutting it off with this sharp blade. So use your crimper and carefully cut it off. Make sure you are not damaging the cable. All right, so if you can cut this off too, fine, else you can leave it. All right, so we're starting with type A. So type A color code is, let's separate all of them first. All right, so type A color code is white, green. Okay, remember white, green, right? White, green, then solid green. Okay, so you hold it this way. All right, so white, green will come first, then solid green will be the next. Okay, so this is how we're going to be arranging all of them till we get to the last color. So white, green, green, then you have white, orange. Okay, this is white, orange. Okay, make sure you arrange it very well. Okay, so white, green, green, white, orange, then solid orange, okay, So white, green, green, white, orange. Let's do blue. White, orange, blue, right? White, orange, blue. Then white, blue. This is white, blue. White, blue, orange, right? White, blue, then solid orange. Then white, brown, brown. So white, brown, brown will always be the last, both are for type A and type B. So you need to arrange it this way, just in a systematic order. See, so if you watch closely, you will see the cable arrangement. So white, green came first, then solid green, then white, orange. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, white, orange, then blue, then white, blue, then orange, then white, brown, then brown. Okay, so they should be arranged this way. So once you arrange it this way, you hold it with your left hand. Try to get the smallest portion as you can. Okay, so I'll hold it this way. This way. I don't know if you can see that. This way, right? Make sure they are well arranged. If they are not well arranged, when you are trying to fix it inside your RJ45, they will rearrange themselves, which will not give you the code, right? So arrange it very well, then cut. Okay, so cut it to a particular size. Okay, so if you cut it, it will be this way. So we have white, green, green, white, orange, blue, white, blue, orange, white, brown, brown. All right, so still hold it that way. Then get your RJ45. So the RJ45 has different phase. So this other phase is what helps you to clip to your NIC, right? So the other phase that has these silver pins should be the one that will face you. So it should face you this way, and you insert it inside the cable. Okay, so just this way, it should face you this way. So you arrange your cable again, give yourself a space a little bit, then insert. Okay, once you insert, push it in very well. Push it in very well, right? Push it in very well. So once you do that, make sure, right? Make sure that all the cables, you can see them from the end here. Let's get a better focus. You can see all the cables, right? So make sure all of them are actually touching the edge here. Also check this side. Make sure that this one is touching. Check the back. Make sure that everything is correct. Check the other side. Okay, so the most important thing is that this part must touch the ends. Now the reason it must touch is when you crimp this cable, to this RJ45, these pins, right? These pins will have here, we actually go inside and take a bite of this cable you push inside so that they can have contact with them. Okay, so if these pins here are not having contact with your cable inside, then the connection will not be complete. Okay, the connections will not be complete, so you might be getting loss of signal, you might not even connect at all. Okay, so that is that. Then before I proceed, let me explain the pin a little bit. So we have 8 pins, right? We have 8 pins like I showed you. So if you count, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 wires, 8 pin. So the pin 1, right? The pin 1 and pin 2 are used to transmit data. Pin 1 and pin 2 are used to transmit data. Pin 3 and pin 6 are used to receive data. Then pin 4, 5 and 7, 8 are for powers. So normally if I cut off pin 4, 5, 7 and 8, I should still be able to transmit data with my cable. Okay, so but I'm not going to cut it off in this video, but then I'm saying that if you cut them off, you can still be able to transmit data with the cable. So the only time pin 4, 5, 7 and 8 is functional is if you have a device, a PoE device. PoE means power over the internet. Okay, so if you have like an access point, an IP camera that you want to power using this cable, then that is where those pins are relevant. Okay, so in that case, for example, you have an access point or maybe an IP camera. You're actually powering the camera and also transmitting data at the same time. So you need the complete 8 cables. But if it is just your computer to your router, you don't need it because you are not powering your computer with the cable. Okay, the computer already have its own source of power. Your router has its own source of power. But like those cameras that you need a PoE injector or a PoE port to power them, like a PoE switch, then you need all the whole cables because you're actually powering and transmitting data at the same time. All right, so having said that, we will crimp this. So it's always advisable that when you are pushing your cable, you should push it in such a way that this outer layer we enter inside so that it can have contact with this. Okay, so that when you crimp, your cable can be hold firm properly, right? If this outer layer is not having contact with this, your crimping will work, but then any slight mistake can pull out your cable. All right, so it's advisable you push it in as much as you can so that you can have contact with this. So the next thing is to crimp the cable, right? Now this part of the crimper, if you count it, is also 8 pins. So this is the part that actually jam these pins to make contact with the cable. Okay, so that means to insert this pin, I need to turn my crimper this way, then turn this pin, turn my cable this way, right, and insert it inside. So once you do that, you see that each of these pins have contact with the pin on the crimper. So you press down, I'm pressing this part down, right? So you press down and it will crimp all of them, right? So if I remove this, you see that each of the cables here, right? Each of the cables are jammed with the pins. Okay, so that's that about this one. So since we are done with this, let's crimp the other end of the cable using the same type. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit fast here. When you have the same type of configuration on both ends of the cable, it is called a straight through, right? And straight through cables are used to connect unlike devices. So unlike devices are like router to switch, switch to printer, printer to router, or again computer to switch. So these are unlike devices. Okay, so they are unlike devices. When you have two devices that are not the same and you're trying to connect them using cable, you actually use a straight through cable. But when you want to connect like devices, like router to router, switch to switch, laptop to laptop, printer to printer, you use something called a crossover cable. Now, crossover cable is when you have two type of configuration on both end of the cable. So if I have type A on one end and I have type B on the other end, it is a crossover configuration. So we use it to connect like devices. Okay, so that is that. Then take your RJ45. All right, let me just quickly explain this with this RJ45. So this is a Cat6 RJ45, right? This is a Cat5. So we have different categories of the cable and also the RJ45. So if you watch, this one has a straight line pins. Okay, so this has a straight line pins. Let's get a better focus. All right, so if you watch, the pins are straight, right? We have this, all of them are in a straight line. Okay, sorry, all of them are what? In a straight line. So they are RJ, these are Cat5. For the Cat6 are not arranged straight. Okay, if you watch this closely, you see you have one here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, so this is Cat6. All right, so if you're using Cat5 at one end, try and use Cat5 at the other end. If you're using Cat6 for all your configuration, try and use Cat6 on all. Not that if you use Cat5 one end and Cat6 the other end will not work, but you know, to avoid confusion, just use one type on both ends. All right, so remember, hold your cable this way, hold your RJ this way, and what? Insert. So we now have type A here, and we have type A here. So this is a straight through cable. If you have type B here, type B here, it is a straight through cable. But if you have type A here, type B here, it is crossover. Type B here, type A here, it is what? Crossover. So let me repeat. We use type A, we use a straight through, which is type A or type B to connect unlike devices. Unlike devices like switch to router, router to printer, switch to computers, you know, stuff like that. Then for crossover, where you have one type of configuration here, type A and type B, we use it to connect router to router, switch to switch, PC to PC, and so on. Okay, so they are like devices. So that is that for this. I will not be configuring for type B. I'll just tell you the color code, just the same way. Okay, so the same way you run the configuration. So I'll just tell you the color code, then you arrange it yourself and Crimp. So the best way to understand type B is just to replace your green. Okay, replace your green. So let me just use this one to demonstrate. So remember, type A is this: white, green, green, white, orange, then blue, right? Then have a white, blue, orange, then have a white, brown. So this is your arrangement for type A. Let's get it very well. So type A is white, green, white, orange, blue, right? Then white, blue, white, blue, orange, then what? White, brown. So just replace, wherever you see blue, replace it with orange. That's all. Okay, every other ones remains where they are. So for type B is white, orange. So it's starting with white, orange, orange. Sorry, let me get this straight. So So starting with white, orange, orange, white, blue, white, green, blue, then have white, blue, orange, white, blue, green rather, then white, brown, brown. Okay, so I'll add an overlay of the color on the video so that you see it well. So it's white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, orange, then white, brown, brown. So if you arrange it that way, on one end you cut and crimp, and that is that for this. So after you are done, you can run your cable testing. Oh, I don't have battery. I don't have battery. So please, but with your cable tester, I forgot that I don't have battery. I think I misplaced this one here. But then what you need to do is, okay, just insert, one is the receiver, one is the transmitter, right? You can pull them out, you can allow it the way they are. So put one end on the receiver, put the other end on the transmitter. Okay, so you start seeing reading. So it will read from 1 to 8. Like I said, if any of the number jumped on any side, that means that particular pin is not having contact with the RJ45 pin, right? So you need to recrimp it. And whenever you crimp a cable, for it to recrimp, you need to cut it and start again. So you need to be careful before you terminate. So all of them must read from 1 to 8. If anyone skip, then there's a problem with your cable. Thank you.